I flew into Hong Kong, and the first cool thing is the train from the airport to downtown. You could take a bus, but the train is faster and more convenient. The train ride to Hong Kong station only takes 24 minutes. There are power outlets inside, and you get some great views from the window. That's it. The train's futuristic, like from a sci-fi movie. I love it. I booked a hotel near North Point MTR station. This is what budget accommodation looks like in Hong Kong. The room's spacious by local standards. There's one bed, more like a cot, but it's fine. It's suitable for 1 or 2 people. There's a TV, that's about it. There's a mirror, and the window spans the entire wall, which is rare for Hong Kong. There's also a table and a trash can. And a chair, and there's also a fridge, just like this, by the way. Yes, it works, a normal fridge. What about cups, a kettle? Make some tea, excellent. My journey around Hong Kong started with a little trick from an experienced tourist. We are poor people, and so instead of expensive boat tours, I decided to take the real symbol of the city, the Star Ferry. Just ordinary public transport connecting Hong Kong Island to the Kowloon Peninsula. I was traveling from the Wan Chai Pier and luck smiled at me. I got a place right next to the window. The ferry slowly made its way through the waters of Victoria Harbour, and I eagerly soaked up every moment of this living landscape. In 15 minutes we reached Kowloon. Every time this view of Victoria Bay makes my heart beat faster. But the real discovery for me was the Museum of Art. Stepping into the museum, I began a journey through time. A film about Chinese calligraphy was shown on the first floor, and as I climbed higher, I dove into a world of Chinese antiques with a vast opium box collection. It was fascinating to watch young Chinese study these exhibits with such interest. The immersive exhibition on the upper floors surprised me. Though not as grand as Team Lab, it was still quite impressive. For me, the crown jewel of the collection was the Canton Fair exhibit. I was amazed that all this magnificence was completely free to access. I spent about an hour in the museum. I really love unique places, and I specifically sought out a cafe reminiscent of old Hong Kong films, a place with last century's Hong Kong atmosphere. It opened recently but has already garnered many positive reviews. You can see various artifacts from bygone eras on the wall. The menu, written in Cantonese, offered a limited selection. Not understanding it, I ordered milk tea with a pineapple bun. It was incredibly delicious. After enjoying the retro cafe vibe, I headed to my next stop. I was absolutely awestruck. Nearby stood a grand mall I'd read about in a guidebook. This 19th century style architectural gem was less crowded in the late afternoon. The multi-level space is open to visitors. That day, fresh flowers filled the air with a magical scent. It's great that all these spots are so close together. I spent about 30 minutes in the mall, including time for photos. Now back to Avenue of Stars. The famous laser show starts at 8 p.m, which I've heard so much about. The internet was buzzing with glowing reviews, and I couldn't wait to experience it myself. However, reality was a bit different. Instead of a grand light show, I only saw a few laser beams. The scale of the show clearly didn't meet expectations. I felt slightly disappointed, and judging by others' reactions, I wasn't alone. But Hong Kong is a city of contrasts and not. On my way back, I stumbled upon a tiny dessert cafe, so authentic and cozy that it instantly won my heart. Visitors sat shoulder to shoulder, and staff skillfully maneuvered between tables. The evening's highlight for me was a dessert called Mango Saga. This unique blend of mango, coconut milk, rice balls, and grapefruit was a true culinary revelation.
The next morning, I visited an amazing cafe called Matchbox. It's another spot styled after last century's Hong Kong. Every interior details like an exhibit in a Hong Kong Life Museum. Quirky items looked freshly pulled from an antique cabinet. I loved the tables, set up like they're in an old bus cabin. No surprise it's a hit with locals and tourists alike. My breakfast was a classic choice. Japanese tea with lemon was nice, but the French toast with honey and melted butter was the real star. It was incredibly tender, melting in your mouth like sweet cotton candy. The mix of textures and flavors was simply divine. This cafe is probably my favorite in Hong Kong. After eating, I went for a stroll in the Central District. The area's beauty is truly stunning, especially the towering skyscrapers. I've been to Hong Kong countless times, but the central area always amazes me. Interestingly, some buildings offer free observation decks. For instance, at Hissan Place, take the office elevator to the 9th floor for a cozy cafe with city views. On hot days, Hong Kong's parks are great for relaxing. Despite its reputation as a cold metropolis, the city boasts beautiful green spaces. I decided to explore. Besides scenic views, Victoria Park offers free Wi-Fi, water fountains and restrooms. You'll also see locals enjoying nature. After lunch, I joined a tour I'd long wanted to take. It's called Another Hong Kong in English, and it was the best I've seen. I booked online for about $30 using the link in the description. Our small group met at the subway station. In a friendly atmosphere, the guide began. This tour reveals Hong Kong's real issues and how ordinary people survive. It's sad but important. First, we visited a small real estate agency to see what's available to rent or buy. This is Sham Shui Po, one of the city's most affordable, or rather, poorest areas. Even here, 30 square meters can cost $700,000. Renting 12 square meters? $600, pricey or cheap? Next, we explored Hong Kong's unique architecture. Orange buildings, for example, were kept to 6 floors to avoid elevator laws. Over half of Hong Kong now lives in public housing. It's partly state-funded through nearby shops and parking. We then visited a tiny flat where 3 people could live. This apartment is about 10 square meters for $400 monthly. It's a bedroom, kitchen and bathroom. The owner split a small flat into rooms to rent for extra cash. This area has a street full of massage parlors offering happy endings. Some buildings have red marks, indicating workers of the world's oldest profession. In Hong Kong, sex work is legal. We saw a stark contrast next to luxurious buildings. There's a huge park where homeless people live. Volunteers bring food, offer haircuts and health checks. Many of these homeless even have jobs. Later, we went up to a government building's roof. From there, we could see illegal rooftop structures on nearby buildings. It's against the law, but the government can't do much. Where else would these people go? Then we visited a traditional market, saw interesting Chinese remedies, duck, and more. It's very different from central Hong Kong. Many elderly sell food and goods on the sidewalk. This is also illegal. They often get these items free from volunteers or promotions. It's a shocking sight, but also fascinating. Hong Kong is full of contradictions. The tour lasted 3 hours, then we had milk tea with the guide and others. In the evening, I went to a Michelin restaurant for dinner. This restaurant is known as the cheapest Michelin spot. It's a chain cafe with a beautiful Chinese interior, great service, and traditional Cantonese cuisine. The wonton noodle soup got the most praise. Wontons are shrimp dumplings in tender dough. They're good, but mostly dough to me. I'd return for the ambience though. A bowl of noodles cost me $7. The next day, I visited a famous modern art museum. Though I'm no art expert and I'm not sure how I ended up there, it left quite an impression. The museum amazed me with its diverse exhibits. There were communist paintings, which was intriguing, and unusual sculptures caught my eye. Installations made from newspapers in various languages stood out, as did provocative statues. A piece with politicians in wheelchairs piqued my interest, clearly symbolic. There was even a film featuring Mao Zedong and Karl Marx flying, which was quite original. Despite my limited art knowledge, I found the visit fascinating. I spent about 2 hours there and enjoyed it, mainly by approaching everything with a sense of humor. The museum is in the beautiful West Kowloon area, near a stunning park overlooking Victoria Harbour. definitely worth a stroll. Later, I headed to the 10,000 Buddhas monastery outside the city. The journey took about an hour, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. The path to the monastery is steep with Buddha statues on both sides. They're all unique, no two alike. I got tired quickly. At the top, there's a temple with a view of Hong Kong and a cemetery above. The view's great, but I'm not sure it's worth the climb. It took an hour by metro, but I spent less than 40 minutes there. Back in the Central District, and I passed the famous Lan Fuen restaurant, known for Hong Kong milk tea. There's a photo queue now, so I joined in. Tea's in a nice glass, but tastes no better than less popular places. Then I checked out the nearby Central Market. It's a lively 19th century market with modest bamboo stalls. It transformed into a modern mall. I was amazed by the variety of goods. You can grab a bite at the food court, shop at a 7-Eleven, or find unique souvenirs. Next on my route was the famous escalator, the world's longest outdoor escalator. It spans 800 m in length and rises 150 m in height. I was impressed by the clever solution to transportation in such hilly terrain. I was particularly surprised that the escalator runs along a very narrow street. As you ride, you can view Hong Kong from various angles. It's a great way to rest your feet and enjoy the city views. The ride, with stops for photos, takes about 20 minutes. Within walking distance, I discovered the former Tai Kwun police station and prison. This massive complex now serves as a cultural center with exhibitions, restaurants, and bars. I was especially impressed by the hall where the original prison decor has been preserved. A chilling feeling gripped me when I peeked into the solitary cell. Dark cells, interactive displays, a unique experience. You can hear historians' tales right here. Explore every cell, touch everything. My visit lasted about an hour. Hungry after the tour, I found a small cozy place nearby famous for dim sum. The restaurant was tiny but atmospheric. I loved that each table got unlimited tea, utensils, spices, and sauces. Deciding to try more dishes, I showed a meal for one person. The menu's variety was impressive. There was a sweet meat bun, shrimp in an interesting shape, textures like rice dough, crispy fried shrimp dim sum, and seolma with caviar. It cost $13, which is a bit pricey, but honestly, these were some of the best dim sum I've tried. This was part of a 3-day Hong Kong trip. I'll leave all links in the video description.